Shopify is the all-in-one commerce platform to start, run, and grow your business. And I love it because Shopify gives entrepreneurs the resources that were once reserved for big businesses. So upstarts, startups, and established businesses alike can sell everywhere, synchronize online and in-person sales, and effortlessly stay informed. I don't talk about it a ton, but I have a fishing company. 5 years ago this month, my best friend Aaron and I started a bass fishing weight company called Woo Tungsten, because woo is the sound you make when you catch a giant bass. So we sell tungsten weights for bass fishing, and Shopify has made it so incredibly easy. They have all the tools and the resources that we need. No matter how big or small your business is, they just make it so effortless. And like mine, Shopify powers over 1.7 million businesses from first sale to full scale. And you can reach customers online and across social networks with their ever-growing suite of channel integrations and apps, including Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Pinterest, and more. And you can gain insights as you grow with detailed reporting of conversion rates, profit margins, and beyond, which is something we use a ton. More than just a store, Shopify grows with you. Go to shopify.com/Blue Wire, all lowercase, for a free 14-day trial and get access to Shopify's entire suite of features. Grow your business today with Shopify. Go to shopify.com/Blue Wire right now. You'll see exactly what I'm talking about. Shopify.com/Blue Wire.
Blue Wire.
First pick in the 1991 NBA draft, the Charlotte Hornets select Larry Johnson from University.
I'm not supposed to be here, man. A lot of people from where I'm from, don't make it.
Charlotte, we're back.
What's up, everyone? This is Richie, and thank you guys for joining us again today on this episode. I had a chance to speak with a former Charlotte Hornets player, Eddie Robinson. I think this is the second player that we've had on the podcast that was a former player. We had Kenny Gaddison probably a couple years ago, and he was from the earlier days. Eddie Robinson was from the late 90s, early 2000s. He was only on the team for a couple of years, but provided a lot of highlights and alley-oops and dunks and stuff like that, and played during a time where the team was very consistent, making it to the playoffs, and he made it to the playoffs in both of the years that he was on the Charlotte Hornets. And I had a chance to talk to him about his background, his upbringing, his college days, all the way up into his days with the Hornets and the Bulls. So that conversation was awesome to hear. Before we get into the conversation with E-Rob, I wanted to thank everyone that has supported us through our Substack, BuzzBeat Plus. If you're still unfamiliar with what that does, I will put a link in the description. But basically, when you sign up for $35 a year or $5 a month, you get ad-free episodes. You get exclusive episodes that never make it to the regular podcast feed. And then you also get early access to podcast. Sometimes that's 3 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours, or sometimes it's days. So this specific interview that I had with Eddie Robinson was actually released on Monday, 3 days ago, here on the BuzzBeat Plus feed. So if you want to get your hands or your ears, I guess, on the podcast episode a little bit early, and you think that's a benefit to you, I would check out the link in that description of the episode notes. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get into this interview with Eddie Robinson. All right, welcome back to another BuzzBeat, a Charlotte Hornets podcast. This is Richie, and we have another special guest joining us today. We've got a former Charlotte Hornets player from 1999 to 2001, Eddie Robinson. E-Rob, how's it going?
How you doing, man? Thanks for having me.
I appreciate it. I will say that you were part of my favorite era in Charlotte Hornets history. Those mid to late 90s teams were just so fun to watch. They were consistent. They were competitive. So this is going to make this interview a little bit more exciting for me. And I think there are plenty of places and things I want to ask you about. But I want to start in the beginning. You grew up in Flint, Michigan, which actually also produced another Hornets player in the mid to late 90s with Glenn Rice. Two-part question here. First off, like, how was it growing up in Flint? And number two, did you play many sports as a kid, or was it strictly basketball?
I mean, growing up in Flint was, it was rough. I believe we used basketball as an escape to a better life, getting out of what we call the Flint Zoo. It's rough there with a lot of gun violence, a lot of gang activity, just a lot of bad stuff going on. And because I'm thinking to myself, like, this can't be life. You know what I'm saying? Like, it has to be better than this. So, I use basketball as a way to, get out of my environment.
Now, did you play other sports, or was it strictly basketball?
Just strictly basketball.
Gotcha. At what age did you think that you could turn basketball into something bigger and make it professionally? Like, did that ever cross your mind in middle school or high school?
Well, I didn't play high school ball, so probably when I was close to I think when I turned 17, I was at that point where it's like, okay, I got to do something now, or it's never going to happen. So with the guidance of Raymond Jones, rest in peace, Ray Jones, my AAU coach, he was kind of my mentor, my father figure growing up in Flint. He guided me and let me know that, hey, just because you dropped out of high school doesn't mean it's the end for you. You can get your GED and go to college that way. And, he was, Ray Jones is the guy that, it was a lot of kids like me and Mateen Cleaves, Morris Peterson, Charlie Bell, a lot of those guys that I played AAU ball with, he had a big mentorship with us and, guiding us in the right direction as far as college coaches, getting us that attention that we needed by playing in those AAU games. I wasn't even in high school actively on the roster, and I played AAU basketball with the top kids in Flint. And, they knew my name and they knew what high school I went to, but I started getting all these college recruitment letters, because I was in school. I wasn't taking school seriously. Skipping, running the halls, just being a class clown and things of that nature. And the assistant coach at the time, Mr. Hewley, he brought me in the office one day when I was skipping class. He was like, man, I need to show you something. So he brought me in his office, and I had a fucking stack of letters from these colleges, right? And I was like, yo, what? He was like, I don't know how the hell you getting all this mail, or how you even got on the AAU team and you ain't playing no basketball. No high school basketball. How you getting all these letters from these colleges? And then I explained to him what I was doing. And he was like, man, hopefully this will make you rethink what you want to do with your life. And you've got interest from colleges. Like they're offering me scholarships. So I was like, once I saw that, that changed the whole narrative of my thinking. Like I was like, well, yeah, I think I better take this seriously. So I, after that day of school, I went down to Burston Fieldhouse. That's where I lived at. That's what we hoop. I hooped at every day, all day. So I'm running down there. I'm running down there to see Ray Jones with my letters in my hand. He said, man, I already know about that. All these college coaches done called me asking me who you was and this and that. And, I'm not surprised about all those letters in your hand. I've been telling you, you're $1 million walking around here. That's what he used to always tell me. You're $1 million. You're $1 million walking around, Flint, and you ain't doing nothing. So I got with him, and, he reached out to some coaches who gave me an opportunity to, come in and show him what I can do, and rest is history, So if it wasn't for Raymond Jones, I probably wouldn't be talking to you right now.
Wish your team could find some next level talent? When your business needs someone with the right skills fast, you need Indeed. Indeed is the hiring platform where you can attract, interview, and hire all in one place. Instead of spending hours on multiple job sites searching for candidates with the right skills, Indeed's a powerful hiring partner that can help you do it all. One of the things I love about Indeed is it makes hiring easy, all in one place. For example, the assessments. Indeed helps star applicants to shine with over 135 assessment tests from cooking all the way to coding. Start hiring now with the $75 sponsored job credit to upgrade your job post at Indeed.com/Blue Wire. Offer good for a limited time. Claim your $75 credit now at Indeed.com/Blue Wire. Indeed.com/Blue Wire. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? You need Indeed.
So you jumped around a lot during your collegiate days, but your last stop before the NBA was Central Oklahoma. Considering that was like a small school, did you ever think that playing in the NBA was just going to be too hard to kind of put your name on the map and have teams recognize you? Like, what were your thoughts playing at Central Oklahoma, trying to put your name on the map? Because I think the year prior, didn't you declare for the NBA, but you went undrafted?
That's what I was gonna tell you about. So in '97, when I met, the first school I went to was Trinity Valley.
Okay.
Trinity Valley in Athens, Texas. That was the first school I went to. So Rod Falasta, he was in Flint, scouting and looking for players, and he ran across me and Pruitt. Pruitt Allen he was the number 2 guard in the country at the time out of Central High School, and we were a package deal. So me and him went together to Trinity Valley. Coach Falasta, he was transferring at the end of the year, so I was trying to, continue my relationship and follow him. So I don't think he ended up getting a job that following year, so I ended up going to Brown Mackey. Now, when I went to Brown Mackey, and this is in Salina, Kansas, population 20. So this is a small town. Like, our school, it was a business school, right? And it's like in this plaza, and it's next to like a shoe store. So I remember the first day I'm trying to find a school. I'm like, Coach, I can't find a school. And then I walked past it 50 times and didn't recognize that, this is the school. So it's not like a campus, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's just a building with classrooms, and it's a business school. So end up getting a lot of that's when a lot of the pro scouts was coming to my games when I was in Salina, Kansas. So I had created that buzz my sophomore year in college. And what was crazy is the reason I put my name in the draft is because at the time the Spurs had showed great interest in me and was telling my coach, which was Coach Flax, Francis Flax. Shout out to him. That's he gave me a chance and took a chance in bringing me in and giving me a full ride and things like that. And, me and him had a great relationship, and we still do to this day, like as of right now. So, he was like, man, the Spurs love you. The Spurs love you. And R.C. Buford was the general manager at the time. So him and R.C. had been talking, I guess, whatever. Obviously, I can't talk and have conversation with NBA general managers, and I'm only a sophomore in college. So, they talked, and he was like, man, you got a great opportunity, because the Spurs are saying they'll take you second round. So I was like, well, shit, that's all I need to hear. I only need one team to fulfill my dream. You know what I'm saying? As long as I get one of them to bite, I figure I'm going to go take that opportunity. You know what I'm saying? And I've always been the type of person to, when opportunity knocks on the door, I answer it. I have to answer it. There's nothing to think about. So I'm like, well, shit. So I ended up putting my name in the draft. They didn't draft me. And before the draft, before I decided to do that, I hadn't talked to my mentor yet, which is Raymond Jones, because he's guided me. He's giving me great advice. And, once I ran it by him, he was like, what? You ain't ready for no NBA. You just not learning how to play college ball. You know what I'm saying? Because I didn't play high school ball. So I was 4 years behind when I got to college. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, no, coach. I'm like, no, Ray, no. They saying this, they saying that. So I'm not sure if him and R.C. Buford ever had a conversation or not. I don't know that. But, I was focused and determined and trying to make it happen, my sophomore year in college. You know what I'm saying? After only playing 2 years of college, of junior college, you know?
Yeah.
And he was like, you're not ready to face grown men. You know, there's those grown men in the NBA. You know, you got to work on your body. You got to get stronger. You got to do this. You got to do this. You got to learn this. You got to learn that. So after taking into consideration of what he was telling me, which, you know, he hasn't been wrong about anything this far, right? So I was like, all right, man, all right. So I sent my letter in to take my name out. You know, you have a certain time limit to declare your name out of the draft, right? So, and I didn't have an agent.
Right.
Never signed an agent, right? So I sent my letter in, and I was assuming David Stern got my letter, and so I missed the draft. Like I watched the first round of the draft, and then I just stopped watching, right? Because I mean, there was no reason to me to watch the second round because I'm assuming my name is not in there. So I pick up the paper the next day. I pick up the newspaper the next day just to kind of like see where players went in the draft, right? So I'm okay, such and such we're here, such and such we're here. Second round players, boom, 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 boom. Players not drafted. And I saw my name. And I was like, you know, I saw my name and I was like, wait a minute, I'm not even supposed to be in this draft. So end up contacted David Stern. He gave me the runaround about how I didn't receive no letter from you and all this stuff. And you know, we had words and then he was like, well, just go back to school. That's just the best thing you can do. Just go back to school. And then I was like, okay. So I was like, I got some D1 offers. Am I able to go? No, you can't go D1. You can't go D1. You blew that opportunity when you put your name in the draft. And that's what he told me. And to this day, I don't even know if that's true or not because I didn't sign an agent. So right. I'm thinking to myself, well, shit, I got to go D2 now, which wasn't a problem because I've already created the buzz. The scouts know about me, so it doesn't matter what school I go to at this point. I could have went D12. It wouldn't have mattered because I've already been professionally scouted by these NBA scouts. I've seen them at my games. You know what I'm saying? So that really wasn't a big concern of mine. You know, as far as making that next step as to what I was going to do basketball wise, as far as what school I was going to go to. So University of Central Oklahoma was my next stop, which was probably 5 hours down the road. You know, it was close. It was right there. So I was like, you know, I decided to go to Central Oklahoma and, you know, and I love my 2 years there. You know, I had great experiences. My coaches was great. They're still teammates from every college that I played for that, you know, I still communicate with. So, you know, I've you know, gained new friends. And so, yeah, you know, the college experience was great for me. So, yeah, I ended up going to Central Oklahoma for 2 years. And here's the crazy part. Okay, now I put my name in the draft, right, in 97. So I went undrafted. I never had an agent, so I was able to go back to school. So once I picked, who my agent was, right, which was James Bryan out of ProServe. He had Avery Johnson, Danielle Marshall, Antonio McDyess. Those are just the names I know right off bat, right?
Yeah.
So I ended up signing with him, and he got to doing some research, and he called me. He was like, man, you not gonna believe this. I'm like, what? Soon as you play your last collegiate game, you're an automatic NBA free agent.
Huh.
Because I went, you know, because of what happened with the draft situation, right? So I was like, what? So now what happens is, as soon as I'm done playing my college career, as soon as I play that last game, I'm an automatic NBA unrestricted free agent. So I went to the Knicks. I went to my first NBA workout because I was the only guy able to, you know, move around and train for NBA teams. Other players couldn't do that because they had to finish school and finish their season. Because, you know, they were in the college tournament. I was the only kid doing NBA workouts after a college season. So the Knicks was my first stop, and they were playing the Miami Heat in the playoffs. So here's me. I go from Central Oklahoma, playing my last college game, to boom, NBA free agent. Boom, on the road, traveling. Go to Oklahoma to New York. I'm in New York at the playoff game. So my first NBA game experience is the fucking playoffs. And you know what I'm saying? So I was, man, that was, and you know, at the Garden of all places, the Mecca of basketball, the Garden. You know, that blew my mind. I was like, wow, like it happened so fast. Like, and man, that was the greatest experience ever. You know, just going from college to boom, right to the pros, and not have to wait until the summer to do my pro workouts. I get to start up now. I get to have an advantage of being seen before any other college player is going to be seen. And I went to the Knicks, and what's crazy is the Knicks were going to sign me. So just imagine I could have played my last college game and went right to the NBA playoffs and been on the NBA roster. So what I ran into and what I ended up running into was, okay, in order for this to work, they would have to cut a veteran. And that veteran would have been David Wingate. So, and at this time, you know, the Larry Johnsons, the Allen Houston, Patrick Ewing, you know, that whole core, they was like, oh man, young fella, you gonna get you a job, man, boom, boom. Because, you know, I worked out with them. Or they see me worked out, you know, see me working out. And man, they were like, man, young fella, you gonna get a job, boom, 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 boom. So I ran into that NBA veteranship, that brotherhood that I assumed that, you know, I ended up being a part of once I joined the ball club, you know, so that's what kind of stopped me from creating history that way, was they weren't willing to, you know, cut David Wingate to bring me in.
Yeah.
And I was just fascinated that could even be a possibility.
Yeah.
You know, which was crazy. Like that never happens.
No, that's definitely an interesting story. And obviously you came in 99, that next year with the Hornets. That draft class, by the way, was a pretty stacked draft class. Baron Davis was in it.
We had the best draft class. My era was the best.
And I think when you joined the team, Ricky Davis was a first-year player. So between you and Baron and Ricky, you guys created highlight plays on a nightly basis. What was it like playing with those two players, and how quickly did you guys kind of form that chemistry?
I mean, you know, we were, you know, obviously we were the next rookie class coming in. Man, I think it was just, you know, we were so happy. You know, we were so happy and excited. Like you know, we were just naturally good people. So we automatically clicked. Me and Baron clicked the quickest, you know what I'm saying, besides Anthony Mason, because what happened was, if you remember, Baron was coming off an ACL injury. Mm. So he came to camp, I think like mid-camp, maybe day 5 or 6 or something like that. So everybody was excited, you know, to finally see him come to camp and see what he could do. Because, you know, me and Ricky Davis and Lee Nayland and McGlure and Derek Coleman, and we've been battling two-a-days the last 6 days. So we kind of much know what everybody can do with this and that. So now we're like, man, we want to see what Baron gonna come in here and do, right? So BD comes, and I'll give you a funny story about that day. We just kept giving, I just kept giving BD the ball because I just want to see what BD do, right? And the person that's guarding him is David Wesley. So David Wesley got pissed off because we kept giving him the ball, and he just kept going at D-Dub, you know what I'm saying? So David Wesley like, oh, so y'all just gonna keep giving him the ball? I'm like, yes. We've been bumping and grinding the last 6 days for two-a-days. We want to see what BD finna do and how he is off of that injury and things of that nature, right? So he basically killed David Wesley, right? So David Wesley gets mad and just walks off the court. Walks off the court, goes to the locker room, and go home in the middle of camp.
And I think that rookie year, David Wesley probably played, the good portion in the beginning of that season as the point guard, and then kind of Baron Davis slowly took over. And obviously they played together. That was kind of a good, 1-2 punch at the point guard and shooting guard position. I do want to ask you about this because this is kind of a touchy subject, but in the rookie season, you guys were dealt with a real tragedy with the passing of Bobby Phills. I think many Charlotteans know exactly kind of where they were when they heard that news. How did that event change you and your teammates for the rest of the season, if you can remember?
I mean, of course I can remember. I remember it as if it happened 5 minutes ago. I mean, coming from Flint, I was used to, death. And just from coming up in the neighborhood I came up in, and, I saw a lot of death. A lot of my friends got killed, were murdered. So I'm not going to say I was ever used to it, but it wasn't a shock as far as, somebody passing away, right? So I remember it like it happened 5 minutes ago. We were at shoot around. Mm-hmm. We just had shoot around, and, we left shoot around. Certain guys go a certain way, certain guys go a different way. Obviously, Baron, Bobby, David Wesley, they all go the same way because they live like in the same direction you would take. So some players go a different way because they live in a certain direction, right? So, and I just remember I had got home, took a shower, I was eating, doing my pregame thing, getting ready for the game or whatever. And, I'm just sitting after I took a shower and ate, I'm sitting on the couch and I'm just flicking through channels, right? So I'm flicking through channels, and the way I found out, like, nobody called me and said anything of that nature, right? I found out by flicking through channels, and, they're showing the practice, they're showing the arena on the news. And then they show the arena. So after they show the arena, they go to like the crash site. And I remember seeing my equipment manager sitting on the ground, just bawling out, just crying. I'm thinking to myself, yo, what the fuck just happened? And so then all the news, you see all the news reporters coming out, they're talking to players, and I'm like, and then I see Bobby Phil's Porsche, covered up. So I'm like, oh, don't tell me. Nah. So I hopped right in my car and headed to the the gym, because it happened like 10 minutes away from the gym. So I pull up and it's like, oh shit, like Bobby Phills is, he died instantly. He's still in the car. They hadn't even removed him yet. That's like, that was the craziest. Like, that was crazy. Like, mm-hmm. That was like that. Bobby Phills was a great dude, great husband, great father. This is the stuff I seen by him. Interacting with his kids and his wife Kendall. And man, I just felt so fucking bad for his kids and his wife, man, because, he was hands-on with that. He taught me a lot from the defensive end, because he was a hell of a defender. I learned a lot of my defensive footwork mm-hmm. and understanding from him. So that was sad as fuck, man. Like, and it just puts a perspective on life. Like, you never know when it's your time. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, that was hard to deal with. I thought I've kind of escaped that by leaving Flint and being on my journey. And once I left Flint, I never dealt with that hands on. I've heard about such and such getting killed back home. I heard about it, but wasn't right there in my face. I was away from that. And then through my whole college career, that never happened to like any of my teammates or, things of that nature. But that was the first time I lost a teammate, a friend, and another friend, another dog. That was the first time I ever lost, a friend that I played ball with. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that was tough, man.
Yeah, I can only imagine having that team try to bounce back and kind of refocus everything on basketball when that's probably the last thing on your mind. So your rookie season, you guys made it to the playoffs, lost in the first round to the Sixers, and then in your second season, you guys made a big offseason trade for Jamal Mashburn and PJ Brown. In my opinion, you kind of rarely see those trades nowadays. There's like 9 players that were involved.
It was a 9-player trade.
Yeah, that's unheard of today. I know you only played with Mashburn for a season, but how would you describe him as a player?
Mash was tough, man. Strong. He was strong as hell. And man, I learned so much from him. And man, he was a hell of a player, man. You know, he led us all the way to the semi finals. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he had that like back down, turnaround, fadeaway shot down.
Yeah, he had that post game, and yeah. I'm not gonna say he was MJ and Kobe like, but you know, he operated down there like them, like for real. He didn't have the athleticism like they did, but he damn sure had the floor game and the post moves, and he knew how to get his shit off, and he was a force down there on that block.
Yep. And what was so interesting in that season, you guys went on to play the Heat in the playoffs and swept them. Like, it wasn't even close. Like, I think all the games were like double digits. You had a good couple of games in that series. And then you guys went on to play the Bucks in the second round. And you guys were one win away from making the Eastern Conference Finals. That's the first time, or would have been the first time in franchise history. And I feel that sometimes players probably remember losses more than they do the wins sometimes.
Of course.
Do you remember the locker room after Game 6? Because Game 6 was in Charlotte, and you guys had a chance to close out the series.
To close it out. Yeah.
Do you guys do you remember what the mood was, knowing that you had to go back to Milwaukee for Game 7?
I think we was all ready to fight each other, including the coaches. You know, Paul Silas, you know, being an ex-player, man, he did a hell of a job with us. He's a hell of a coach, man.
Yeah.
None but the utmost respect for Coach Silas, man. I still talk to him to this day. But yeah, man, we were so close to closing that thing out. We didn't do it. You know, we had our words, we had our, you know, we had our little arguments or whatever, but I think I think what allowed us to still stay together is because, unlike this new era, right, we were able to talk shit to each other and hold each other accountable without it being a problem. You know what I mean? So, I mean, we were close like that. We hung out all the time. We partied together as a unit. Like we hung out. So I think that gave us a sense of, okay, I should be able to tell you, yo, what the fuck is you doing? You got to do this, you got to do that, without you feeling like, hey, man, I don't like how you just talked to me. I'm going to the gym and I want to get a trade.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like this trade shit, because you don't like this situation. This is why you can't compare my era to this new shit. It's totally different. Nobody wanted to get traded when that shit was an embarrassment. Traded was an embarrassment. Now you got guys just requesting trade. Oh, I don't like it here. I'm leaving. That's just not how we were built. Mm-hmm. It was a fucking embarrassment to be traded. It wasn't a great fucking thing. It wasn't a great feeling, because now you got to move your whole family and go to a whole nother situation and redo everything. No, that was embarrassing. So we played our ass off to not be traded.
Whose idea was it to get the whole team to wear headbands?
Probably me and Baron.
Was there anyone on the team that was like reluctant to wear them, or just needed?
I mean, of course, Eldon Campbell. I ain't wearing no fucking Big Homie. We called him Big Homie. Big Homie. I think Big Homie was like, man, I ain't wearing no headband. I think he may have been the only one. Him and Otis Thorpe.
Oh, I forgot about Otis. Oh my gosh, yeah.
And I think Hersey Hawkins. I'm trying to think that Hersey. You know what I'm saying, Hersey. But yeah, I mean, PJ Brown. Yeah, so I mean, everybody, you know, was like, hell no at first, and then you end up doing it. I'm like, well, I'm gonna wear mine anyway.
Yeah, you wore it regardless. Yeah, exactly.
I wore it regardless. So and they just kind of went along with it and just showed a sense of, you know, of fellowship.
Speaking of headbands, is it true that the Bulls banned the headbands because of you? Oh gosh, the eye roll.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Over one person.
Yes. And that's just, and that goes to show you, like, me and John Paxson, I mean, we fell out every day. This guy got me in his office. And he was trying to puppet me to the point where he controlled what I said to the media when they asked me a question. And I'm not a fucking puppet. If I'm not going to answer a question and say, what would John Paxson say? Like, I'm not that fucking type of person. You ask me a question, I'm going to answer it. And he always used to get on me about my answers to the media. And the biggest one that pissed him off was when I said, hey, don't nobody here want to run the fucking triangle. We don't like it. We don't want to run this shit. We don't want to run a premeditated offense, being the youngest team in the NBA. And our backline defense is Eddie Curry and Tyson Chandler, 2 teenagers that just turned 17 years old. Also, when you think about the triangle, you have to have dominant post players. And okay, at the end of the day, shit break down. Who can we throw to go get a bucket? We didn't have that.
Right.
We didn't have that. We had Curry that could take up space and catch the ball down there, but he couldn't make nothing happen because now you never developed this guy. You never developed Eddie Curry. You guys never taught him post moves. You never taught him anything. So all he's doing is high school shit in the NBA because that's all he knows. You guys didn't take that whole summer to teach him nothing.
So how competitive, like, I know you signed a lucrative deal with the Bulls, and how competitive of an offer did Charlotte offer you? Because, I mean, obviously you're not going to pass up the money, but did Charlotte offer something that offseason?
6 years, $16 million deal.
I mean, do you regret your time in Chicago at all? I'm assuming, no?
I don't see, that's one thing about me. I don't live with regrets. I'm a godly person. I believe in God. I believe my life is written out already. I'm just living through it. So I don't live with regrets like that. I mean, it happened the way it was supposed to happen. You can't change that. I hate when people say if. No, there's no if. This is the way it's supposed to happen. That's the way it was going to happen. And I'll tell you what, I fucking love Chicago. I mean, those fucking fans, even though we were shitty as we were, they came out and sold the fucking arena out every night. Every night. We're sold out every night, no matter what. And that says a lot about a city and the character of a city. No matter what, they had our back. They knew we were the youngest team in the NBA. They knew the Bulls were at a point where they were transitioning from the Michael Jordan era. And yeah, man. So I felt like, I mean, we were the youngest team. I was considered the third oldest veteran on the team, and I was only 23 years old.
Wow,
that's how young we were. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, my time in Chicago was great. I loved the city. I met a lot of cool ass people. A lot of cool ass people I met, you know what I'm saying, in Chicago that I still conversate with today. You know what I'm saying? So I built great relationships with people. And, I'll be forever grateful for, being able to say I played for the Bulls and I played for the Hornets. You know what I'm saying? Just making it to the NBA and just fulfilling a dream that wasn't even on my plate. I didn't know what the hell I was going to be doing with my life. Up until 17 years old. I dropped out of high school in the 9th grade. I was in the streets, So I had no fucking idea that the NBA was even a possibility, let alone going to college. You know what I'm saying?
All right, Eddie, we're going to go ahead and sign off here. We thank you so much for joining us today. I really appreciate your time and your stories. Your stories were great.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man. Anytime. Let me know when you want to do it again.
All righty. Take care.
All right, thanks.